8 years ago, Portland, Oregon was one of the most moved to cities in the US. A lot has changed in those 2,922 days. At the 2020 census, Portland grew by almost 12% from the previous decade. Since that, they've lost almost 3% of their population. Today, we're going to look at some of the things that have caused the population to do a 180 here in Portland, Oregon. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 20, the Allergy Olympics. If you thought Portland's biggest natural hazard was wildfires, wait until you meet the pollen count. Every spring, the city transforms into an airborne botanical buffet of everyone's allergies. The Willamette Valley, where you'll find Portland, Oregon, is sometimes called the grass seed capital of the world, which sounds lovely until you realize your nasal passages are collateral damage. Tree pollen hits early, grass pollen peaks in May, and by July, you're basically a walking humidifier. Local pharmacies do brisk business selling antihistamines, nasal sprays, and boxes of tissue large enough to double as furniture. I buy them by the case, like a big cube of it. Those Vicks tissue paper, gotta have those in the house at all times during that season. Now, Oregon isn't the worst. They're actually ranked 20th in the nation, but the Portland metro area is ranked 16th out of the 100 largest cities. Is this a reason not to move here? For some people it is. Maybe not for you, but some people, their allergies are so bad that they can't handle living in a place with this much greenery and grass and everything else. The pink cherry blossoms are everywhere at certain parts of the year, but, good luck seeing them through all your sneezes. Number 19, Bridge Lifts and River Gridlock. Portland's many bridges are part of its charm, until one decides to lift while you're on your way to work. There are 12 major bridges crossing the Willamette River, and every local has their favorite to curse at. Now, if you don't know, the Willamette River is the river that goes through Portland, and it's a major tributary of the Columbia River, which separates Oregon from Washington. The city's drawbridges regularly open for passing ships, sometimes at the worst possible moment, like rush hour, or just when you're running late for your coffee addiction, or a tattoo appointment, which is a common occurrence here in Portland, Oregon. As they said in Portlandia, the ink never runs dry in Portland. Now, good news is not all the bridges are drawbridges, so you don't have to worry about them, at least the main ones. But if you're just going across the river to another part of the city, you're usually going to take one of the smaller bridges, and they usually have some form of lift for boats. Then, of course, there's the bridge repair days and all that other stuff. A lot of people don't come from cities with a bunch of bridges. I know people in Pittsburgh probably laughing at me right now. Pittsburgh has over 20 and a few rail bridges as well. Yeah, to some people, it's not that big of a deal because it doesn't happen too often, but it always seems to happen at the wrong time. And there's bridges. I mean, we've got a lot of bridges, and there's a lot of people out there that do not like bridges. 18. Parking is a blood sport. Finding street parking in Portland is like finding a good avocado at Walmart. They almost don't exist. Downtown meters run until 10 p.m., and residential zones have restrictions that make parking feel like an SAT logic problem. You have to get out to the suburbs like Beaverton, Hillsborough, and West Lynn to avoid all that nonsense, even though those places in their downtown area do have them, but it's a little more lenient out when you get into the suburbs. Parking on the street isn't normally a good idea in the first place. There's just too many things going on. Car break-ins, homeless sitting on your car, bike lanes, and everything else. I always park in one of the lots, which, some weird stuff can happen there too, but it's less likely someone's gonna happen to run into your car. So you either park on the street, do meters, and worry about your car, or you park in a parking lot, which costs money, and you worry a little bit less. Obviously, these things aren't exclusive to Portland, but it's a problem here. The worst in the country, from what I understand and what I've seen, is San Francisco. San Francisco's horrible. Portland is catching up. It's one of the reasons so many people just give up and buy a bike and a pass to the public transit, which also has its own problems, but in my opinion, it's easier than driving around downtown. 17. Bureaucratic Purgatory, the permitting nightmare. You'd think a progressive, organized city would make it easier to build a deck or remodel your bathroom. Nope. Permitting process has all the efficiency of dial-up internet. Portland loves red tape like a sailor loves his rum, they say. Want to install a fence? Better submit a diagram, environmental impact statement, and possibly a blood sample. Homeowners report waiting weeks or months for permits that other cities would have issued in days. Businesses try trying to open new shops or renovate old buildings face an obstacle course of inspections and resubmissions. Even contractors joke that Portland time adds 3 months to every project. If you enjoy paperwork and patience tests, you'll love it here. Now, I will tell you one thing that I've been reading while I was researching this. They've got a program where they're trying to get rid of some of the red tape because it's just nonsense. I mean, I think California is going through the same thing right now. 16. School and labor wildcard. Parents moving to Portland often discover that the city's public school system can be unpredictable. The Portland Association of Teachers has had multiple labor disputes in recent years, including a strike in 2023 that shut schools down for 3 weeks. Funding shortfalls, overcrowded classrooms, and aging facilities don't help either. While there are some excellent schools, consistency is not the district's strong suit. Add in frequent protests and walkouts, which, I mean, it's Portland, that's what we do here. And you've got a system that feels less like an educational hub and more like a trial by patience. Private schools are an option if you've got $20,000 a year to spare. The Portland Public School District is ranked 21st out of 143 districts in Oregon and 10th out of the 34 in the Portland metro area. For overall quality, that's according to niche.com. Number 15, the job market has mood swings. Portland's economy looks good on paper, tech, healthcare design, and logistics, but the reality is that it's narrow and unpredictable. If you're in the right niche, you'll thrive. If not, you'll be competing with everyone else who thought they'd find their dream job at Nike, Intel, or some other indie startup in renovating warehouses or whatever. Manufacturing has declined. Many retail and hospitality business still struggle post-COVID, and the state's business taxes can discourage small business growth. You'll also find that a lot of employers offer salaries that seem to be allergic to Portland's cost of living. Translation, you'll need a side hustle to pay for your main hustle. Number 14, the transit promises versus reality. TriMet, the city's transit agency, advertises the Max Light Rail and bus system as the green dream. In reality, the experience can be mixed. If you live near downtown or along the major line, it's fine, but venture beyond the inner core and schedules thin out like Portland's sun in November. Some areas have limited coverage or safety concerns at night, and while the system is affordable, it's also aging. Buses break down, trains stall, and the transit projects take forever. Locals love the idea of public transit, they just don't always love riding it. If you plan to live car-free, expect some long, cold waits under flickering streetlights. Now, a lot of people complain about it. I've never really had a bad experience on the Max. I used to take it downtown for a job down there all the time. Luckily, I live near one of the main lines. I take it right out to the airport if I want to. I've taken it home many times late at night. Never had a problem. But there have been some problems, including some guy that decided to start knifing people on there a few years back. You know, the same stuff every city gets on their public transit. 13. The Gentrification Yo-Yo. Portland used to be known for its quirky, affordable neighborhoods until everyone else discovered them. Now you've got a city where former working class districts have turned into real estate playgrounds for tech money and out-of-state investors. I'm one of them. Well, I moved here, I'm not an investor. Places like Alberta, Mississippi Avenue, and the Pearl have seen skyrocketing rents and disappearing local flavor. Meanwhile, longtime residents have been pushed into the fringes or out of the city entirely. You might live in a cool up-and-coming neighborhood one day, and then you just watch it turn into a high-end condo development halfway through your lease. It's gentrification on fast forward, and Portland hasn't figured out how to hit the pause on it. Been trying for years. They've talked about rent control, they've talked about slowing down development. I mean, the bureaucracy and the red tape should do that already, but it's still moving too fast. This is a problem a lot of the locals will have, and I tell you this because you're going to run into people that will complain about you for moving there and raising all their rent and all the other stuff that goes with it. This happens in every state and every city. It's just, for a while there, it was on hyper mode for Portland, Oregon. It's slowed down, but it's still a problem. Number 12, graffiti and trash. Now, if you like your cities spotless, Portland may feel like a before photo of a power washing ad. Graffiti tags appear faster than the city can clean them, trash accumulates in certain districts, and vandalism is a reoccurring expense of local businesses. Are there worse cities when it comes to that? Absolutely, way worse. But Portland's smaller, so it seems like a bigger problem. Now, I'm not saying this isn't a beautiful city, because it is. We've just got certain neighborhoods of downtown, like the Old Town area, over on the east side. They get pretty ugly at times, but every city has those neighborhoods. Overall, I think it's a beautiful city. We just got some areas that it's like they got to get a handle on it, and they just can't. Now, in recent months, the city has increased cleanup crews and outreach. Post-pandemic, Portland still hasn't regained its shine, and while some neighborhoods sparkle, others look perpetually in progress. Locals don't even flinch anymore. They just look at it and go, yeah, that's Portland for you. Number 11, the hidden cost of living. Oregon loves to brag about not having sales tax. What it doesn't tell you is that every other fee picks up the slack. You'll pay high water rates, gas taxes, recycling charges, a homeless tax, and some of the steepest utility rates on the West Coast. The city also has a clean energy surcharge and local income tax that nibble away at your paycheck. Even garbage collection costs more than you'd expect. Portland's cost of living index is about 30% higher than the national average. The cheap Oregon life dream evaporated around the time your third water bill arrives with adjustments. Now, I moved up here from Southern California, and it was a lot cheaper then, but they've slowly started catching up with Southern California prices. The real estate's still about half of what, let's say, the Los Angeles metro area is, but all the other things, they're catching up at a pretty good rate. Number 10, traffic that defies logic. Portland has about 2.5 million people in the metro area, yet somehow manages traffic jams worthy of Los Angeles. The freeways bottleneck constantly, especially near downtown and the river crossings. Add a few bridge lifts like we talked about earlier, fender benders, and the occasional protest march blocking lanes, and you'll have plenty of time to listen to podcasts about how great Portland used to be. Commuters who moved here for a smaller city lifestyle often find themselves asking, how does this place with this many cyclists have traffic all day? From my house, if I have no traffic, I can be at the Portland airport in 20 minutes. I've timed it in the middle of the night. No traffic whatsoever, 20 minutes. If I go, let's say, between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., it's around an hour and 15 minutes. Number 9, the quake waiting game. Portland sits near the Cascadia subduction zone, an undersea fault capable of producing a magnitude 9 earthquake that scientists say is overdue. Buildings downtown weren't designed for that, many of the bridges could fail, and emergency resources would be stretched very thin. Most locals just kind of shrug it off and say, yeah, if it ever happens, I'm sure it'll be crazy, but what are you going to do? Now, to a lot of people like myself who've lived through many earthquakes, this isn't a big deal, but I've had quite a few people bring this up to me when they've asked about Portland, and then they always bring this up like it's a thing that's on our mind all the time. It could happen. I mean, it's a thing. I don't know, could happen a million years from now. But over the years, I've read several things, and it should be pretty bad when it does finally happen. But then again, my whole life, they told us California was going to have a big earthquake and it was going to fall into the sea. Last time I checked, California's still there. Number 8, wildfire smoke season. Every summer now comes with a new game called Is That Fog or Wildfire Smoke? Fires from Central Oregon, Washington, California send smoke drifting over the city for days and weeks. Air quality warnings are common, outdoor activities get canceled, and people rush to buy air purifiers that sell out faster than concert tickets. In 2020, Portland briefly had the worst air quality on the planet. I took the train from Portland down to Los Angeles during that wildfire season, and the whole way down there it just looked gross. I filmed the whole way, and it looked like I had put a filter over my camera or on the edit of orange. It was really nasty. Number 7, the downtown is a work in progress. Now, when I say the downtown is a work in progress, I mean it's getting better because downtown Portland was once the pride of the Pacific Northwest, a walkable hub of shops, cafes, and street performers. Then the pandemic, riots, protests, and of course the homeless epidemic changed all that. Now they are getting better. I did a video just recently when I went around and showed that most of the city's in good shape. And in that video, I made it very clear, I'm not under the illusion that the city is perfect. There's plenty of bad places that need a lot of work. Downtown is so much better than it was 2-3 years ago, but it still needs some work. If you move here, the first thing you're going to think is it's a war zone if you watch too much cable news. Then when you get downtown, you realize, okay, they've got some issues, but I could still hang out down here. I go down all the time to have drinks with friends downtown, and at night, never have a problem. Now, the city leaders are working to revive the area, but it's patchy. A nice corner here, a not so nice corner there, and a homeless dude on that corner. Tourists expect the quirky, artsy downtown of Portlandia fame, often look around and ask, is this it? Locals hope for the comeback, but it's taking longer than anyone wants to admit. Now, is it a war zone? Is anything burning to the ground? Absolutely not. Are there some things that have to be cleared up? Absolutely. I have to be very clear on this because people will just leave in the comments section, I thought you said it was wonderful, Briggs. It's not wonderful. No city is wonderful. Maybe Montpelier, Vermont. I don't know. Number 6, political exhaustion. If politics make you tired, Portland will wear you out. It's one of the most politically active cities in America, which means you'll find protests, petitions, and public forums for everything, from housing laws to the color of the crosswalks. Civic engagement is a good thing, but it's constant here. City councils, activists, and residents all have opinion, and no one's shy about sharing them. If you crave quiet neighborhoods free of ideological warfare, you might want to look outside the city limits, maybe way outside. I'm not saying anyone should stop protesting. If you've got an axe to grind, you absolutely get out there. But when it's all the time, it kind of loses its novelty and its impact. Like I said in this one video I made not too long ago, one of Portland's biggest problems is they gave in to all that. They listened to everyone with a megaphone and they bent over backwards for them to keep them happy. And it just ran us down a road we shouldn't have been on. Well, earlier I talked about how I used to take the train. I'd been stuck more than once on the train because there was some protests going and the train couldn't move forward. Of course, famously, we had the riots in 2020 down at the federal building. That went on for like 100 days, I think. It was ridiculously long. And now you've got down in front of the ICE facility in Portland where they've been out there protesting and rioting or whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Some nights it's just people protesting and dancing. Other nights it gets a little ugly. But that's it. It's not everywhere in the city right now. It's just in that one block area. And it's exhausting. But the people who are paying the price for them wanting to protest all the time, I guess people paying the price for their constitutional rights, are the poor people that live in the condos and apartments near that ICE facility. I want to go up there door to door and start selling noise-canceling headphones. Number 5, taxes that sneak up on you. Sure, Oregon has no sales tax, but that's great until you file your income tax. Oregon's state income tax goes up to 9.9%, and Portland adds its own supportive housing tax on top of it. That's what we call the homeless tax. Property taxes are moderate, but utilities and other local levies more than make up for it. A lot of newcomers think they'll save money by moving here from California or Washington, then April 15th rolls around and the reality hits. The lack of sales tax feels like a consolation prize after you've watched your take-home pay shrink. We've had several politicians since I've been here that have run on creating a sales tax on top of all the other taxes. It's already one of the most taxed states in the country, and some of these clowns actually want to get rid of the one thing that we enjoy when it comes to taxes, or lack thereof. I will note that anyone that's ever made a serious push for it, they never win. You want to end your campaign? Suggest to a bunch of Oregonians that you want to include a sales tax. In 2020, Oregon was ranked as the 20th most taxed state in the union. If they did include a sales tax, even at a moderate rate, it would move them into the top 10. Number 4, property crime central. Portland has one of the highest property crime rates in the United States. Car break-ins, bike theft, catalytic converter swiping, it's practically a local hobby. Now, I think that last one, catalytic converters, that's gone down quite a bit over the last few years. And for a while there, it was like broad daylight. You go into the grocery store, you come back, and your catalytic converter's missing. Locals install motion lights, cameras, and anti-theft devices like they're fortifying a castle. Some neighborhoods are safer than others, but petty theft is so common that the locals barely react anymore. Losing your catalytic converter isn't an if, it's when. On the bright side, it's a great conversation starter at parties. Now, obviously, the petty theft crime and property crime is going to go when you have a lot of homeless people and when you have a lot of people on drugs. Those people are, rarely involved in violent crimes, but they need money and they, need their drugs, so they'll steal from you. Other places you'll find a lot of property crime is when they have a really high unemployment. Doesn't need to be drugs or homeless, but if you have a high unemployment, people will steal from you. Number 3, the drug problem in plain sight. Drug use in Portland is a visible, persistent issue. Oregon's 2020 decision to decriminalize small amounts of hard drugs was met with reduced arrests and a focus on treatment. But in practice, it led to more drug use in public spaces, which is always great for tourism and attracting new businesses. Recent policy changes have tried to tighten things back up, but the efforts still linger. You'll see addicts using doorways on sidewalks and parks. Businesses complain, residents worry, and tourists get a front row seat to the apocalypse. It's tragic, it's real. Portland is trying, but the results are uneven at best. Now, I've said before on this channel that they tried it, okay? Because everything else, all the other cities in the United States are doing, we're just putting more people in prison, which costs more tax dollars. So instead of just putting them in jail and as soon as they get out, a year later, 6 months later, 2 weeks later, they just go back to using drugs and it's a cycle. Instead, why not focus some of that money on getting them in treatment? Well, it worked. I wouldn't say it worked, but more people did get into rehab and, recovered and all that good stuff. But I think it made a bigger problem. Now, drug addicts from across the country knew they can come to Portland and not be hassled. So like I've said before, we just rang the dinner bell. Ring the dinner bell loud enough, someone's going to show up. Number 2, homeless everywhere. Portland's homeless crisis isn't hidden. It's front and center. Tents line sidewalks, underpasses, and green spaces. The city has poured millions into services, shelters, and cleanup, but still it's an uphill battle. Multnomah County estimated over 6,000 people were unhoused in 2024. In 2025, that's down closer to 5,000. So it's progress. And a lot of the tent cities, I guess you could say, because there just wasn't one tent here or there. Back in 23, 22, 21, there was like 10 on a block, all right next to each other, like a little village. That's, I wouldn't say gone away. It's just not as much of a thing anymore. I'm not saying the homeless people just disappeared. Some of them have found shelter. Some of them have moved on. Some of them have just quit camping on the sidewalks and moved to the underpasses like they used to do. Many residents express compassion fatigue. They care, but they're exhausted by the scale and visibility of the issue. Tourists expecting, again, the quirky, eco-friendly Portland are often shocked when they see it. Again, not as bad as it was a few years ago, but it's still pretty bad. And right now, you got thousands of people just one missed paycheck from becoming one of them in the Portland metro area. Locals just step around tents on their morning jogs these days and they keep going because it's been going on for so long. For the most part, homeless people don't bother anyone. Sure, you'll see something on the news and, where something weird happened, but for the most part, they leave you alone. It just doesn't look right and it doesn't look good on the city. People on the streets for various reasons, but obviously the biggest problem is going to be addiction issues and mental health problems. After that, you got a lot of people that are working homeless. They live in their cars and they have a normal job. They just can't afford the rent here or to buy a house in Portland. And for some reason, they stay here. They end up living in vans and in their car and showering at the local Planet Fitness and going to work like nothing weird's happening. Overall, it's a sad, sad situation that I hope there's an answer for someday. At least get us back to a more manageable number of homeless people in the cities in the United States. You're always going to have some. Just like you're always going to have crime. No matter how many police you put on the street, there will always be crime. No matter what we do, you will always find people living on the streets in every city in the world. But when a medium-sized city like Portland has enough to start a small city, you got a problem. All right, before we get to number 1, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, we'd really appreciate it if you did. Join our community. Just be a subscriber. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, the cost of simply existing. And finally, the big one, the cost of living. Portland's median home price hovers around $525,000. The average rent here for a 1-bedroom is around $1,800 for an apartment. Combine that with taxes, utilities, and inflation, and the affordable Pacific Northwest dream fades fast. Wages haven't kept pace, groceries and services are higher than the national average, and even coffee, the city's unofficial fuel, is edging towards $5 for a cup of coffee. Nothing special, not a latte, nothing like that, just a cup of coffee. People who moved here a decade ago marvel at how quickly affordability vanished. I'm one of them. The irony, many of them are now moving out to smaller Oregon towns that still resemble the Portland they once loved. What's attracted them here? I mean, I still love Portland, but if there was another alternative that was similar to it, but cheaper, I'd probably move there. Portland's a very unique, wonderful town. It's just got a host of problems. All cities do. There's just, they're pretty bad. My final thoughts. Portland, Oregon is a beautiful mess. Lush forests, hip neighborhoods, and great food. But also bureaucracy, crime, and sticker shock. If you can afford it, tolerate the politics, and love rain more than sunshine, you might thrive here. But if you're chasing the myth of cheap, progressive paradise, brace yourself. Portland isn't the same postcard city it was 10 or 15 years ago. It's a place where you could have great craft beer, scenic mountains, and existential dread all in one afternoon. All right, everyone, have a great day. Be nice to each other.